Let's talk about something we do all day, every day, without even thinking about it. Breathing. It's the very first thing we do when we enter the world and the absolute last thing we do when we leave it. But what if I told you that in between, most of us have completely forgotten how to do it right? It sounds crazy, but this simple, automatic act holds some incredible secrets to our health.
Think about this for a second. 25,000. That's the average number of breaths you take every single day. It's this constant rhythm, the background music to your entire life. You do it more than you eat, more than you sleep, more than almost anything. And yet, when was the last time you gave it any real thought?
And that brings us to the big, provocative question. What if this thing we do constantly, this fundamental biological process, is actually being done in a way that's, well, messing us up? What if we're all doing it wrong?
So, to find out, journalist James Nestor did something pretty radical. He decided to become a human guinea pig. He wanted to feel, firsthand, the effects of what an estimated half of us do all the time, often without even realizing it: breathe through our mouths.
The setup was shockingly simple, but absolutely brutal. A doctor literally plugged his nostrils shut with silicone. For the next 10 days, every single one of those 25,000 daily breaths had no choice but to come in and out of his mouth. The results? Honestly, it was a complete and total disaster.
I mean, it didn't take long for his body to just go into revolt. His blood pressure shot up by 13 points. That's enough to put him in a higher risk category for heart attack and stroke. He started snoring for hours every single night, which completely wrecked his sleep. He felt awful, exhausted, on edge, and he even developed a nasty bacterial infection. In his own words, it was just hell. So why? Why was it so bad? Well, it's because your nose is so much more than just a hole in your face. It's this incredibly sophisticated piece of biological technology. It filters, it cleans, it warms, and it humidifies every breath you take. It even helps your body absorb more oxygen. Mouth breathing just bypasses that entire amazing system, dumping cold, dry, dirty air straight into your delicate lungs.
Okay, so if breathing through our nose is so obviously better, why do so many of us find it so hard? The answer, it turns out, is buried deep in our own evolutionary story. Our skulls have changed over time in ways that aren't fantastic for complex thought and speech, but really, really terrible for breathing. And this story goes way, way back. It started when our ancestors learned to process food. It meant less chewing, which over time led to smaller jaws. Then, our voice box actually dropped lower in our throats, so we could make more complex sounds for speech, but that narrowed our airways. And the final knockout punch, the Industrial Revolution. Our food became so soft, so processed, that our jaws just stopped growing to their full potential. And the result of all this is something we see every single day. You know, crooked teeth, they aren't just a cosmetic problem. They are a major symptom of a mouth that is physically too small for all the teeth that are supposed to fit in there. And a smaller mouth almost always means a smaller, more restricted airway. We basically evolved ourselves into a breathing corner. All right, so we know we need to breathe through our noses. That's lesson number 1. But there's another piece to this whole puzzle that's just as vital, and almost nobody talks about it. It's about the hidden machinery, the mechanics of a truly perfect breath. I want you to meet the diaphragm. It's this huge, parachute-shaped muscle that sits right below your lungs, and it's supposed to be doing most of the heavy lifting when you breathe. But here's the catch. To get it to work right, you have to focus on the one thing we always forget: the exhale. A full, complete exhale. This amazing insight comes from, of all people, a choir director named Carl Stowe. Back in the 50s, he was working with emphysema patients that doctors had given up on. And he realized something profound. Their problem wasn't getting air in. It was that they couldn't get all the old, stale air out. By teaching them to exhale fully, he unlocked their diaphragms and literally changed their lives. Now, focusing on that exhale brings us to one of the biggest myths in all of biology. We are all taught in school that we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out the waste gas, carbon dioxide. Well, I'm here to tell you that's just plain wrong. Carbon dioxide is not the villain. It's actually the unsung hero of this whole story. So get this. Oxygen hitches a ride on red blood cells, but it needs a signal to know when to get off and go to work in your muscles and organs. That signal is carbon dioxide. CO2 is the key that unlocks the oxygen.
So when we overbreathe, breathing too fast and shallow, we blow off too much CO2. And even if our blood is full of oxygen, it stays locked up, unable to get where it needs to go. It's a crazy paradox. Breathing more can actually suffocate your tissues.
So if breathing too much is bad, what's the right way? What's the secret? Well, it turns out that across cultures and across centuries, people have stumbled upon a kind of perfect rhythm, a breathing pattern that puts our entire body into a state of harmony. And the magic number is 5.5. That's it, 5.5 breaths per minute. Researchers have found that at this specific rate, your heart, your circulation, and your nervous system all start to sync up and work together in this incredibly efficient, coherent way. And the best part is, it's so easy to practice. All you do is inhale gently through your nose for about 5.5 seconds, and then exhale gently through your nose for another 5.5 seconds. That's the whole thing. Just doing that for 5 or 10 minutes a day can have a massive impact on your health. And what's absolutely wild is when you look back, this exact 5.5 rhythm is hidden everywhere. It's in the timing of Catholic rosary prayers, it's in yoga mantras, it's in Buddhist chants. All these ancient traditions from totally different parts of the world independently discovered this perfect cadence for breathing. So, getting the basics right can totally transform your day-to-day health. But what happens if you take it further? What happens when you really start to push the limits of what breath can do? Well, that's when you start to see things that look almost superhuman. And I'm not talking about science fiction, I'm talking about real people. You've got Wim Hof, the Iceman, running a half marathon in the Arctic with no shirt on. You have Swami Rama, who under strict laboratory conditions proved he could consciously stop his own heart. And for centuries, Tibetan monks have practiced inner fire meditation, generating enough body heat to meditate comfortably in the freezing Himalayas. All of this just forces you to step back and wonder. We spend so much energy trying to optimize everything. Our food, our workouts, our supplements. But what if the single most powerful lever for changing our health, our minds, and our potential has been right here, right under our noses the entire time? What if the key is just learning to breathe again?